Some officials in Nasarawa State may be in trouble over alleged inflation of over 600 million naira as the governor wields the big stick, suspending over 60 officials across 13 local government areas. We'll find out why. And the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is in Lagos today alongside top government officials deliberating on efforts of rebuilding the city after destruction of properties in the aftermath of the NSAS protest. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Lagos. Well, let's begin by telling you that the Lagos State Governor is asking for special funds and consideration in the 2021 federal budget to rebuild Lagos State after the devastation caused by rampaging youth in the aftermath of the NSAS protest in October this year across some cities of the Federation. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, was also at the event alongside the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, at that event, and he's asking for a more than a physical rebuilding. They say that they are advocating for social, psychological, and moral rebuilding of trust between the government and the young people. Take a listen to the Vice President.
It is also clear that the task of reconstruction goes beyond physical infrastructure or brick and mortar. There is a moral, social, and ethical reconstruction to be undertaken as well. We must rebuild trust between the government and the governed, the vast majority of who are young persons, trust between the law enforcement agents and the communities that they are meant to serve. Let me, on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, assure you that we stand with you and the great people of Lagos as you undertake this difficult journey of rebuilding. It is my conviction that Lagos and our nation at large will emerge from this crisis better and stronger.
There is a governor who is perhaps saying he's not taking nonsense based on what they found that over 600 million naira was found out to have been side-fund or being fraudulently taken away from the purse of the government. And that's the Nasarawa State governor. And over 60 people have been suspended. We'll find out the details of that, plus some of the internal politics of APC. But before we get into that, which is our major conversation tonight, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Some of these expenses can...
The House of Representatives Committee on Judiciary is asking that the judiciary be exempted from the envelope system of budgeting to allow for better funding of that arm of government. The lawmakers made their position known during the budget defense session of the judiciary, where they frowned at the reduction in the budget of the Supreme Court, despite the appointment of 8 new justices. The Federal High Court in Abuja has again adjourned hearing in the alleged certificate forgery suit filed by the All Progressives Congress against the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, to the 18th of November 2020. Although the suit was slated for hearing today, Justice Ahmed Mohammed adjourned the suit till Wednesday, following submissions by counsel to Governor Obaseki, Mr. Ken Mosier, that all pending motions relating to pleadings must first be resolved before going into the substantive matter. Fresh internal crisis has hit the Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, as suspension and counter-suspensions amongst the working committee members of the party has become the order of the day. Latest is a factional chairman of the party in the state, Samson Bamboshe, who has been reportedly suspended along other members of the State Executive Council members for alleged anti-party activities, while the suspended chairman, however, announced the suspension of 3 members of the party in retaliation.
If this message can be passed across very well to our people, the escorts of these parties are intact.
But in a swift reaction, the factional public relations officer, Olasukomi Oyejide, affirmed that the chairman and other state executive council members remained suspended.
How that is possible when someone is no longer a member of the party? How can someone who is no longer a member of the party suspend those that are in the party.
The people of Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State have declared their unwavering support for Governor David Umahi. Indigents from different communities gathered today at Isaka, headquarters of the local government area, to thank the governor for his developmental strides across the state, particularly in Ivo local government area.
Let's get down to business, everyone. The Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, has wielded a big stick with over 60 senior local government officials suspended across 13 local government areas. The Director of Personnel Management and Directors of Finance across the 13 local government areas and 18 council development areas of Nasarawa State have been directed to embark on a 3-month suspension for allegedly inflating the salary package of local government workers in the state by 600 million naira. The suspension came after a committee set up by Governor Abdullahi Sule indicted the directors. The local government workers were said to be audited over some abnormalities, and the state government decided to use April 2012 payment vouchers to get to the root of the alleged fraud. Following the audit, it was discovered that the salaries skyrocketed from 1.1 billion naira paid in 2012 to 1.3 billion naira in 2020. Despite the fact that there were no employment and promotions. Interesting. Let's get to the root of the matter, shall we? Let's speak with the governor on the implications of the suspension and the economic effect of the discovery of this alleged fraud. Governor Abdullahi Sule joins us on the program from Lafia. Thank you, Governor Sule, for joining us tonight on the program. And let's begin the conversation by asking you, how devastating is the discovery for you based on what the committee discovered, the committee that you set up to investigate this alleged fraud?
Thank you very much, Sharon. Usually this should have been a local issue, but there are so many reasons why it has now become a national issue. The first of it is the fact that we came in 2019 May, and then by June there was a takeoff of this local government autonomy. And Nasarawa State was among the first states that gave the local government their full autonomy in line with the directive from the federal government. Therefore, they were operating 100% without any interference from us. Since we came in, the state has been able to pay 100% of salary, 100% of pension, and we are up to date. But the local government councils have been struggling. And that was the reason why from the beginning, somewhere around the last quarter of 2019, I wanted to find out why. So they said they needed a new biodata capture, and we invited some consultant to carry out. When it was carried out, nothing was done. There was no change. But the coronavirus actually hit the nail on the head when it was now became evident that they were owing more salaries and more pensions, especially for the pensioners, some of them in the utmost of 3 months not paid. So I can't be satisfied just because the state officials are being paid while the local government were not. So we set up a committee, and the committee comprised with the Ministry for Local Government, Chieftaincy Affairs and Community Development, local government chairman directly involved, DG of the Pension Bureau, the Accountant General, the Auditor General, the Union of Pensioners, all invited to go and investigate. It was after the investigation that they now decided to use 2012 data capture as the reference point. Because in April 2012, data was captured, and then there was also a freeze on employment. So you will expect that since there were a lot of retirements, exits, beds, and the rest of that, the salary will come down. But when compared with the salary of May, we're having a difference actually of over 600 million. And then the salary increased from 1.1 to 1.3, even though there was the freeze on employment. And on the other hand, the pension also was increasing, which means all those that were exiting were also capturing pension. So what that meant was, most likely a lot of people who were earning pension also were earning salaries. That could only happen with the connivance of the officials. And that was the reason why I had the meeting and then gave a directive that immediately they should go and pay according to the verified payments. And of course, they refused to pay. They were dilly-dallying and asking for one reason or the other because they wanted to continue with the corruption. So when the right thing has to be done, it doesn't matter who, for the benefit of everybody, you have to take the decision. And that's why we took the decision to suspend all of them for this 3 months period so that we can carry out and find out who is responsible. Nassarawa State cannot afford to be losing that amount of money to just a group of individuals who are enriching themselves. And that's
let's look at some other aspects of your decision. What then is your next step of action since this discovery?
The next step is actually right now the entire payments will be carried out by the Auditor General, the Accountant General, and then the local government chairman. Let them come together and carry out based on what they verified. And then it's more likely that you will find a few people who had special approvals, even during the freeze period to be employed. So anybody that has authentic reason to be paid will pay them. So the amount could actually come down from the 600. That is understood. But the bottom line is that we will verify this. Once we verify anybody that is found guilty will have to pay money that belongs to the government. You can't take what doesn't belong to you and run away with it. So people will actually be prosecuted based on that.
All right, so let's look at the legal process of doing that. Are they going to be prosecuted? Because I know that ICPC seems to be the agency to handle these sort of things when officials of government are involved in alleged fraud matters in cases like this. Have you carried ICPC along in this process?
We have not gotten to the stage of carrying them along, but ICPC, EFCC, and whoever is involved, we will involve them. We are going to follow the due process. We're going to involve all the legitimate agencies that are supposed to be involved in this. We are not going to actually penalize anybody that has committed no wrong. The idea is that we will follow the due process and make sure that those people, that's why we want to even carry out these 3 months and verify that what has been reported is correct. Because we don't want to penalize anybody for crime they didn't commit, but also we don't want to leave criminals, run away with what belongs to the other people. That's the idea.
Governor, in the face of the law, based on Section 7 of the Constitution and the 4th schedule of the Constitution, do you have the powers to suspend these officials?
Yes, definitely. The supervisory role of the entire state is actually in the office of the governor. So the governor right now, cannot sit. He will be held responsible if any criminal activity is going on in the state, and then you just sit on it. So it is the responsibility of the governor to carry out. So far, if you see, we have not prosecuted anybody yet because it is not our position to do that. But of course, we have the powers to carry out once we discover that there is a problem, a criminal offense for that matter. The governor has the power to go ahead and do that.
Because I'm looking at the process by which you set up the committee, whether or not you are permitted by law, because what Section 7, especially the case with Supreme Court in the case of Fayemi and the local government in Ekiti State, on what the powers of the state governor, and also in the light of the newly amended Local Government Act, it does look like you needed the House of Assembly to be able to met this kind of disciplinary action on some of these officials. Did you go through the House of Assembly as stated by law?
No. Here, I don't know which law you are reading, but here in Nassarawa State, we have what we call the Local Government Service Commission. We didn't carry out this directly. We went through the Local Government Service Commission, who have the power to do 3 things. They have the power to employ the local government officials, they have the power to discipline officials, and then they have the power actually to promote them, where there is need for promotion. So they have 3 distinctive roles. So what we did was that we referred the report to the commission, and it was the commission that suspended them based on that. It's not directly the office of the governor that suspended them.
All right. Thank you, Governor Sule. Please stay with us. We take a break. And when we return from the break, our conversation with the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, continues. Don't go away. We'll look into some other national issue and, of course, APC internal politics. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, and let's get back to the conversation with the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule. Thank you so much, Governor Sule, for talking to us tonight. Indeed, if at the end of the day, if these officials, 62 or so of them, are found guilty, and suppose this 600 million naira is found unnecessarily being paid out, then means that Nasarawa State will have an extra 600 million naira per month to use for something else other than being paid to ghost workers. Let's look at other measures in cutting costs, because we understand that over 700 million US dollars is government is seeking from the World Bank to help state government. In what other measures are you hoping to cut costs?
Well, first and foremost is, before we even talk about cutting cost, here in Nasarawa State, we see major opportunities to generate revenue. We came in and inherited an administration that was generating roughly about 600 million monthly. By now, we are actually generating roughly about 1 billion. Our intention for next year's budget, which I'm presenting tomorrow, by the way, we are going to go to somewhere around 1.3, 1.4 billion monthly. So that is on one side. On the area of cutting cost, we came and made roughly about 18 ministries. We reduced the ministries to 13. By reducing the ministries to 13, we have cut down most of those overhead costs that we do, and they are a lot. We also went into an area where we don't give people houses. We don't have some of the top officials. Instead, we pay cash for that. We reduce some of the costs in those kind of areas. In Nasarawa State, we're just finishing the substation. One of the areas government had continued to spend a lot is the area of energy. With the substation about completion, like right now, about 98% completion. We believe very strongly we are going to cut down our energy costs to roughly about 50%. Those are some of the areas that we are having. So there are some allowances that we are looking at, that we are also cutting down. So we have to look at each one of these areas, to cut down, and then we'll continue to look at more areas that we can generate revenue.
All right, but because the office of the governor also is one area a lot of people have raised their eyebrow that there are over-bloated personnel and overhead maintenance funds across the nation, not only in Nasarawa State. Have you done that from your own side too, from your own office?
No, definitely not even in Nasarawa State. It's not only in Nasarawa State, but not even in Nasarawa State at all. We came in a situation where you have states that are having SSA, political appointees, because that's one of the areas. The next area that we continue to have that is the fleet, the number of vehicles that go with the governor and the rest of that. We have reduced that significantly. In fact, we reduced that almost by 50%. The next area that you are talking about are some of these allowances for travels and the rest of that. We reduced that. So every area that we strongly believe, we don't even have the money, so there is no need spending something you don't have. So for that reason, we have to cut down in most of those areas. So today, I have a total of less than 10 PAs. We're getting ready actually to start that. Special advisors, I have only 14. Senior special assistants, I have just about 16, in total. So that's the way we are operating for now, because we are hoping that with the next year's budget, things will improve. Then we can go ahead and include more people. But for now, that's the situation that we have. So, in fact, we can't even go lower than what we have at the moment.
All right. So, you've drastically cut down from what you have explained, Governor. But in the area of the pension law in Nasarawa State, because Nasarawa State also took a leave from Lagos State after 2007 to implement or to put in place a pension law that will give benefit to former governors and deputy governors. Now, Lagos governor is thinking of repealing that law. Kwara State governor is also thinking in that direction. Is the Nasarawa governor thinking in that light too?
We started looking at that before even the announcement by Lagos State governor, but it's not something that we can just follow as with the wind. You know, for us, before we take any decision, we study the situation. We try to find out why. We see how we can go around it. We see why it is right or wrong. The two ex-governors we have in Nasarawa State who are alive and who are the beneficiaries of what you are talking about, you know, both of them are senators. And so we look at the law, how the law says, because there is a law in Nasarawa State that actually permits, you know, for those payments. And we have already asked the House of Assembly to review that law. And we were told actually there was a court judgment in this area, you know, since last year. And we have asked also to review that and see how we can live with that. You know, both governors that we have can live without this pension that we are paying them and live without all these benefits. And by the way, they don't even get the benefits, because some of these benefits that are supposed to be paid according to our law, you know, every 4 years they should be given vehicles. Every day they should be given these allowances and the rest of that. And we don't even pay those ones, even though there is a law that says they should be paid.
Let me get your reaction quickly on the issue of the fuel price. Across the nation, people who perhaps do not understand the reason behind federal government doing this, do you suppose that federal government perhaps should have taken other measures in cushioning the effect of the impact of the hike in fuel price? Perhaps the federal government should, according to some who have criticized the move, to allow the price to go up, especially the fact that when the government said it's been determined by market forces. At this time, a crunch time period, as we know, do you think there should have been an alternative measure in cushioning the effect?
Sherwin, this is a debate that has been going on since around 2003, 2004. At that time, I was the managing director, and then we had other governors, and I remember Fuisho Kupolokun just took over as the group managing director from Gaius Obaseki. And that was the period we started this debate, and the late Badamasi started the PPPRA, you know, and the rest of that. So we started it at the time. You know, the issue is understanding what this is all about. If we continue like this, it's a never-ending story. It will not happen. If you remember, somewhere around 2005, 2006, licenses were given for the construction of private refineries. Not one of them constructed the refinery. Why? Because of this debate. If you remember, a lot of corruption when it comes to fuel subsidy, and Nigerians actually cried foul. Why? Because of all these issues that you are talking about. So I think this is a debate that Nigerians will just have to take a decision once and for all. And I think this president is trying to take that decision. Now, the cushioning effects, what are they? Buying of buses, putting them on the line, because those were the kind of things that we brought forward, you know, but not touching about oil. But the general belief, you know, about an ordinary Nigerian citizen is that this oil is ours. We should be giving it, in fact, free, not even at any price that it is. You know, so until you are able to get that debate and go beyond that, we're never going to go anywhere. As I told you, we started this in 2003, 2004, when President Obasanjo was there, and there was a big riot. You know, Oshimole was the NLC president, and it was all over. If you ask Oshimole today, he will be telling you different stories from what he told you in 2003, 2004. Because the reality is that we can't keep going back and forth, back and forth. So, to answer your question directly, do I support that this line should be deregulated? I wholeheartedly support that. You know, but is there any better ways to support the people, you know, with the incentives like you had mentioned? Definitely. Government has a responsibility in the area of social responsibility, and government must provide that. In the areas of buses, trains that you have at subsidized rates, you know, and even food that there is, you know, and the rest of that. Government should do that. There is no doubt about it. But the regulation or no the regulation should happen.
Right.
They are just enriching a few people. Yeah.
Governor Sule, perhaps let's conclude the conversation tonight about the internal politics of your party, the APC. There is agitation internally against the caretaker committee, allegations that they are planning to extend their tenure, although they've come out to say there is no such plan. A lot of agitation within the party. But some members of your party, chieftains of your party, are saying it's just a signal about the contest for 2023 presidency. And there are also concern from top members of your party that the Igbos who are agitating for a slot or for an opportunity to rule this country in 2023 may not get a chance. You're a governor, a leader of the party. Can you tell us whether or not the Igbos are in consideration for a slot at 2023 presidency under the platform of your party?
To give you a direct answer, the Igbos always have the opportunity to come and contest. If they contest and win the election, the Igbo will be president of Nigeria. There is no doubt about it. But it's democracy. In a democracy, you don't sit down 2 years before election and you say, this is going to be the president. Nobody can do that. With due respect, not even Mr. President can do that. Can tell you that the president of Nigeria in 2023 is Mr. X. He can do that. Doesn't have the power. Because it's democracy. So I think the issue is that we are jumping the gun. We have to take some of these things step by step before we get there. The Igbos or the Yorubas or the Hausas or the Fulani or the Kanudis, don't forget the Kanudis, or the Kanudis all have the right to start sensitizing, start campaigning, start following up to convince the people to vote for them. Nobody will take power and just give it to you free. It doesn't work that way.
There is a zoning arrangement, is an unwritten law, but a lot of people seem to understand that it should shift from the north to the south. So, for example, in 10 seconds, because we need to close now, would you throw your weight behind an Igbo man for the ticket of your party in 2023, for example?
Once my party says there is zoning arrangement to the south or the north, I will be at the forefront of zoning. But the zoning doesn't say Igbo or Yoruba or Efik. Remember, the southeast is not only Igbos. The south is not only Orobo. So it's not about tribes. It's about the north and the south. That's what I think the zoning arrangement does. And right. I'm a product of zoning. Therefore, I will support zoning. I don't have any problem with supporting zoning.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, always a pleasure talking to you, especially the part where you are frank with your thoughts. Thank you so much for your thoughts tonight.
Thank you so much.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening.